Thank you. Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Why don't we give them a round of applause for that wonderful production. And at this point, allow me to now invite His Excellency, the President of this great nation, the host President of the Africa Climate Summit, His Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Let's put our hands together as we welcome him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, ministers present, distinguished participants, delegates, the people of the great city of Nairobi and Kenya, good afternoon. Hamjambo? Jambo? I'm not hearing it clearly. Jambo? This week, African leaders from government and the private sector, as well as academic, scientific, technological, philanthropic, and civil society sectors converged in Nairobi to confer, consult, deliberate, and formulate consensus on a clear, new, bold, innovative, transformational, and distinct African position on how the international community must engage with the undeniable climate emergency that is threatening human well-being and life on our planet. The Africa Climate Summit is both a demonstration of the unwavering collective commitment of the people of Africa to their vision first home here in Africa, a land of abundant potential, limitless opportunity, and the possibility of shared prosperity. It is also showcases our determination to mobilize a global coalition of emergency responders to ensure that industrialization necessary to drive future economic transformation restores our planet's vitality and ecological balance. At the summit, our shared understanding became clear that Africa is not only the cradle of humanity, it is indeed the future, and that we are the last frontier of untapped potential in the form of hundreds of millions of young men and women who are educated, skilled, motivated, innovative, ready and willing to drive the enterprises and industries that will unlock the possibilities promised by our immense endowments of natural assets, mineral resources, and green energy potential in order to unleash opportunities and prosperity for Africa and the world on an unprecedented scale. At the summit, we also made it clear that we are aware of the unjust configuration of multilateral institutional frameworks that perpetually place African nations on the back foot through costly financing, which plunge our economies into debt trap and deny them resources needed to mitigate and adapt in response to climate change, invest in energy transition, and facilitate industrialization to create jobs and wealth, and to reduce inequality. As a continent, we have developed our common position, which encapsulates our ambition for socio-economic transformation and our climate action agenda. This position is anchored on the potential that Africa holds to decarbonize the global economy and set the stage for green industrialization throughout the world. We demand a fair playing ground for our countries to access the investment needed to unlock the potential and translate it into opportunities. We further demand a just multilateral development finance architecture to liberate our economies from odious debt and onerous barriers to necessary financial resources. We are clear in our minds and hearts that the international community must walk with us in this journey into a future of prosperity and security in an ecologically balanced, thriving planet. We are therefore determined to have difficult conversations, take hard decisions, and make uncomfortable changes to set international consensus on an Afrocentric and globally inclusive path into an African future. On a continent as young as Africa, it is impossible to imagine the future without the youth. Our young men and women in every African country are the primary stakeholders and drive our agenda for green transformation and sustainable opportunities. Our message will not be clear if the voice of the youth is missing. Our efforts to achieve prosperity will not succeed if there are no for the youth. And our journey will be long and hard and in vain if the youth are not coming with us. Let the declaration of our commitment to act in unison and deliver our aspirations go forth in the firm, clear voice of a united Africa from Nairobi today, and tell the world about Africa's youth opportunity and its capacity to actualize a world of possibility. We understand that possibility, opportunity, potential, and youth all point to the future. That is why Africa is the continent of the future, because we are a young continent, green and futuristic. Thank you very much. May God bless you, and may God bless Africa. Let me now take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce my colleagues, the men and women who patiently have waited for this final moment for us to endorse the Nairobi Declaration that sets the path for not just Africa to develop solutions for Africa challenges, but to develop solutions for global problems. We are very confident that going into the future, starting from Nairobi to New York to UAE, our message will be clear, our message will be forthright, and our message will be firm. Let me introduce my good brother, the Africa Union Commission Chairman, Musa Faki. Pigeni makofi jameni. Let me also introduce my dear sister, right here, the President of Ethiopia, my dear sister, Saleh Walker Zewde. She's here. Let me also introduce my brother, who just joined us last evening, the President of Chad, Idris Deby Itno. Thank you very much, my brother, and welcome to Nairobi. Let me also introduce my brother from Sierra Leone has just left. Let me introduce my elder brother, the President of Djibouti, the one and only Mzee Omar. Tupige makofi jameni. Thank you very much, Mzee, for standing in, being with us all the while. Your advice has been phenomenal. Let me also introduce the old man, the President of South Sudan, President Salva Kiir Mayardit. Thank you very much, Mzee. I know you have taken time with your advice, patiently nudging us on until the final full stop was put in the declaration. Asante sana. Let me also introduce in our midst a great revolutionary, a great leader who knows Nairobi, Naivasha, Nakuru, Eldoret and Lamu and all the other places. President Isaias Afwerki, the President of Eritrea. Welcome, Your Excellency. We don't take for granted that you're here to append your signature to this great declaration as we march forward in unity as the people of this continent. Let me also introduce my good brother Sama, the Prime Minister of DRC. Pigeni makofi jameni. Thank you very much, my friend. I know you were very keen as we discussed what to do with our natural carbon sinks. And your contribution in making sure that it is reflected appropriately in our declaration is greatly appreciated. Let me also thank my brother Nangolo, the Vice President of Namibia. Pigeni makofi. Thank you very much. And the Vice President, my dear sister, the Vice President of Angola. Pigeni makofi. Thank you very much. And of course, our sister Patricia Scotland, our Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Pigeni makofi. Thank you very much. And of course, the grandfather of Africa, Baba Olusegun Obasanjo. He was right here to make sure that we never try to do the wrong thing. Thank you very much, Mzee. And you have supervised us all the way. I tried to persuade him that we can do the rest alone, and he said no, just in case you make the wrong step last minute. So that's why he is here. Let me also recognize my brothers ministers who are here. All the ministers, thank you, and heads of delegation. I really want to appreciate our first ladies. They're right here. My good brother, the Deputy Prime Minister from Somalia, thank you very much for coming. And all the dignitaries, forgive me if I didn't mention your name directly. It in no way say your contribution was any less. We appreciate everybody who has been here. Thank you very much, Nairobi, for welcoming all our guests. Thank you very much, the people of Kenya, for welcoming all our guests. My very best wishes as we march on with the Nairobi Declaration into the next destination. Asanteni sana, God bless you, and God bless our great continent. Thank you very much.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, marks the end of the Africa Climate Summit 2023. Have yourselves a good afternoon. God bless. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, leo tarehe 6 mwezi ni wa 9 mwaka 2023, siku ya kihistoria kabisa mtazamaji, siku ambayo sasa inanakiliwa kwenye vitabu vya kumbukumbu kama ambayo bara la Afrika liliweza kutangaza mwafaka thabiti kuhusiana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi barani Afrika. Mtazamaji, kama unavyoona sasa, hao ni marais na viongozi wa bara hili la Afrika ambao sasa wamemaliza kutangaza mwafaka wa mabadiliko ya tabia nchi barani Afrika, ambapo mtazamaji, imekuwa ni siku ya kihistoria kabisa, siku ambayo itaweza kukumbukwa kwa siku zijazo kama siku ambayo Afrika ilikubaliana kuweza kuwa na sauti moja ya kusuluhisha athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Kama unavyoona mtazamaji, hao ni baadhi ya marais, akiwepo rais wa Sudan Kusini, rais wa Ethiopia ndio huyo akiandamana na wenzake, vilevile akiwa na marais wengine wa bara hili, rais wa taifa hili Dr. William Ruto, ambao sasa wanatembea kwenye zulia hili lililopangwa kabisa, na vilevile kukiwepo na wachezaji wa bara hili la Afrika wakisherehekea tu kuweza kutia ama kuweza kutangaza mwafaka ya tabia nchi barani Afrika. Mtazamaji, hiki ni kilele cha siku 3 ambazo tumekuwa hapa katika ukumbi wa kimataifa wa KICC, tukiweza kufuatilia mtazamaji mijadala ambayo imekuwa ikifanyika katika ukumbi huu, ambapo wamekuwa wakitafuta suluhu kuweza kuwa na sauti moja, kuweza kuwasilisha mwafaka wetu katika ulimwengu. Huyo ni rais wa taifa hili Dr. William Ruto akiwasalimia tu wa Kenya, akiweza kutangamana na wajumbe ambao wameweza kufika hapa katika ukumbi huu wa KICC. Mtazamaji, kama unapoona, akipiga picha naye, akitangamana nao, akisherehekea tu mtazamaji, jambo ambalo ni la kihistoria kabisa, jambo ambalo mtazamaji litaweza kunakiliwa historia kama siku ambayo Afrika iliweza kuzungumza kwa sauti moja. Tumeona marais kadha wa kadha kutoka mataifa mbalimbali barani Afrika ambao waliweza kufika hapa mtazamaji, ili kuweza kuongea kwa sauti moja kuhusiana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Kama unavyoona mtazamaji, hawa vilevile ni watumbuizaji ambao wamekuwa hapa kwa takriban siku 3 wakiweza kuwatumbuiza wageni ambao waliweza kufika katika kongamano hili, na vilevile kuhakikisha kuwa pia wanachangia katika mijadala ambayo imekuwa ikifanyika katika kongamano hili la mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Mengi yameweza kuzungumziwa, kutoka kwa ufadhili wa miradi ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, vilevile kuhusiana na soko la kaboni, wakisema kuwa na nchi za Afrika basi kuwa na sauti moja wanapoelekea katika ulimwengu, ili wanapoenda kunadi kaboni ambayo ipo katika ama wanaweza kuipunguza katika bara hili la Afrika, wanaweza kuwa na usawa na wanaweza kupata fedha ambazo wataweza kuzitumia katika kukabiliana na athari na makali ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Ni siku tatu kabisa wa kimataifa wa KICC, tumeweza kushuhudia mambo mengi ambayo yameweza kufanyika. Tumeweza kushuhudia miswada mbalimbali ambayo imeweza kupitisha, na kilele kabisa tumeweza kushuhudia mwafaka wa mabadiliko ya tabia nchi barani Afrika ukiweza kutangazwa na marais wa bara hili la Afrika, wakiongozwa na rais wa taifa hili Dr. William Ruto, wakiwa na mwenyekiti alikuwa hapa akiwa na marais wengine wa bara hili la Afrika. Imekuwa ni siku ya kufana mtazamaji, endelea kutegea hapa, kwani tunaendelea kukujuza mengi ambayo yanaendelea kufanyika. Kwa siku hizi 3 nimekuwa mtangazaji wako NAIROBI kutoka kwenye ukumbi wa kimataifa wa KICC. Nasema salute kwa wote waliokuwa wakifuatilia matangazo haya. Kama unavyoona mtazamaji, hata kabla niende, hawa ni watumbuizaji wa Afrika ambao wamekuwa hasa hapa nchini Kenya, Wakimasai ambao wamekuwa wakiwatumbuiza wageni ambao wamekuwa hapa mtazamaji. Imekuwa ni siku ya kufana, kama unavyoona wamerembeka kabisa mtazamaji, wamekuwa wakiimba, wakipaza sauti zao, na vilevile wakijumuika tu na bara lote la Afrika. Unaona mtazamaji, vilevile wajumbe wa Afrika walikuwa hapa mtazamaji. Hapa basi navishwa mtazamaji baadhi tu ya mapambo yao ya hili la mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, mtazamaji, wameweza kuhakikisha kuwa sauti zao zinasikika ulimwenguni kote, mtazamaji. Wameweza kuzungumza, wameweza kuona marais wao ambao vile vile waliweza kufika katika kongamano hili, wakaweza kuleta sauti zao na kuhakikisha kuwa sera ambazo zinawagusa, mtazamaji, zimeweza kunakiliwa, zimeweza kujadiliwa na zimeweza kusikika barani Afrika. Imekuwa ni sherehe ya kufana. Basi kwa sasa nakurejesha kwa mwenzangu Regina Manyara aweze kuendelea na shughuli hizi. Mie nimekuwa ni Sarafi Nairobi, na kwa wote tunasema salute, ashaoleng. Asanteni sana. Thank you too.
Kindly expand more on measures that are or will be put in place to guarantee that the policies and incentives being enacted are distributed.
Enjoying yourself there with some cultural dances there, just indicating how vibrant the Africa's Climate Summit has been, that has been running for the last 3 days, and it just ended there on a high. And to just take you back to give you an overview of how it ended is that as it actually closes, the Nairobi Declaration, amid calls for reparations, governments and private sector, as well as the youth and other stakeholders, have declared support as they forage for a united COP28. COP28 is going to be taking place in Dubai at the end of the year. And from the Nairobi Declaration, this is going to set the tone and the pace that Africa is going to be presenting its agenda. And from Nairobi today is that stakeholders have made commitments worth $23 billion for green growth in Africa. And this particular green growth is going to be directed to various sectors, including the blue economy and revitalizing the energy sector, focusing more on renewable energy. It is also going to factor in the youth and women in as far as matters of climate change adaptation and mitigation. For the last 3 days here, stakeholders, including those from the private sector, have been putting across policies and wanting more action in concern to how Africa can continue benefiting from the raw resources, raw materials that Africa has. And to just take you back to what President William Ruto said in his maiden speech for this inaugural Africa Climate Summit is that whether developing or developed, climate vagaries are affecting each and every living matter across the globe, and this is not a one-man show, calling Africa to action, to speak in one voice and have better negotiation terms going forward when it comes to matters of climate change. And going forward also, Africa is going to be taking each and every opportunity available, including the upcoming UNGA Forum, to push forth its agenda ahead of the COP28. That's just but a sneak overview of what has been happening from Monday to today afternoon, when the Nairobi Declaration there has been presented and signed. We're going to be giving you further executive summaries of panel discussions that have been running on the third and last day of this inaugural Africa Climate Summit that has been happening at the KICC. For now, we take you back to Parliament for its proceedings. I'm Regina Manyara.
Could there be a policy through legislation that brings all this together so that there is one way to go through it? And three, in Europe, for example, there is pollution, but their rivers are largely clean. I come from Lake Victoria. If you went there, in books it's the freshwater lake, but if you went in there, you would want to look at it casually and wonder if it's any fresher. So my question would be, what interventions are in place to help curb the pollution in the rivers and the water bodies that we have? And then 4, which is the final one, Chair, with your permission, could there be a water harvesting policy like it is in Rwanda? where if, for example, you want a particular construction approved, then in it you must tell how you want to harvest the waters that would come thereof. As a way of helping to curb runoffs that eventually take all the debris into the water bodies and in turn affect population. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get a question from West Africa? Southern Africa? Okay, proceed.
Thank you very much. Juma Zakaria, young parliamentarian from South Sudan. I will not going to make a statement. I will go directly to my question. The first question is, since we start this meeting, all the organizations that concerning the environment or climate change, honestly, we do have any organization in my country working in that area. As she was talking about before, that some of parliament, they don't have any knowledge, they don't have any anything to do with the climate change. But I will add that South Sudan is part of that parliament that she mentioned. But I think I'm the only MP start like in that area. Maybe last month I was in Germany for the same dialogue. My question here, how can we benefit from all this information and all the organization? How can we get all these services to my people in South Sudan? Because South Sudan, as I said last time, it is part of East Africa, it is part of Africa, and it's part of world. Thank you.
Very much. Any other question? Can I hear from Honorable, that Honorable Chairman Sweet?
Thank you so much, Chair. Chairman Sweat Kisos, Member of Parliament for Soy constituency in Uganda. I'm really grateful that we are here when Honorable Kajwang is the chair and the convener of the dialogue. And I'm also grateful that he's seated with my chairperson on the Committee on Climate Change in Parliament of Uganda. Are we really one, Mr. Chair? Are we united in terms of handling climate issues? Are we lamenters? The only person who is not lamenting is Azim from Aga Khan, because he seems to have implemented a lot in relation to climate change. What about the shared resources, internationally shared resources of our various countries? Are we using them well? Are we complaining a lot? Are we divided in this? Is Honorable Kajwang working together with the Chairman Songa, Lawrence, on issues to do with Lake Victoria? Are regional blocks helpful in terms of creating unity on climate? Are we together on Migingo? So that we don't need to divide ourselves, we need to work together. For this region as EAC, and other regions as well, West Africa and all the rest, I believe East African Federation will be more helpful in terms of helping us with climate change. If we are to talk of Lake Victoria, if we are to talk of Mount Elgon, and other natural resources, including Lake Turkana as well, these are issues that we should be united together in one front. Yeah. What about financing, Mr. Chair? Financing. Yesterday we heard of UAE putting money, promising to give 7.5 billion US dollars. USA, 30 million US dollars. What about the African states? Are they only lamenting? and complaining alone. What have they put on the table in terms of combating climate change? Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are only not focusing on East Africa. We are also talking about the Niger Delta. We are talking about the Zambezi and all. This is Africa. I think he has put a number of questions. I want to close so that the presenters can, the speakers can give summaries, but maybe one more burning.
Okay, thank you, Chair. My name is Honorable Joseph Lilmingit, MP from Kenya, and I sit as an executive member for climate change at the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, an elected member. Now, I want to ask, there's a person who presented here, Ms. Mother Adenia, on smart climate farming solutions. Also, in our region, we still see that, including hydroponics, we still see that as a luxury and belongs only to the rich. How can we extend the same to the common mwananchi within the regions that we come from? Secondly, I want to ask my colleague from Uganda who just stood that we are here for you. The reason why AU met is because we need to share the kind of ideas that we have, and we provide solutions to the entire Africa region and the world. Finally, as a youthful member in leadership, how can we take this to the young, vibrant youth across the country so that they can own this initiative? We make these climate change initiatives more vibrant, more sexy, so that the youth can also get involved in this, so that they can propagate or expand these issues of solutions for the climate change. And there's a Swahili proverb that says, burn the fish while it's still wet. I believe if we use the strength of the youth that we have at the moment so that they can take this on a ship, they can actually help provide solutions to curb this climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, the youth representative. Can we hear from, in 1 minute each, from the speakers? Yes?
Yes, thank you. I am late in my next session, so let me, if you allow me, to start by addressing the first question from the lady, the student from Nairobi. I think from our side at the African Development Bank, we do have some rigorous procedures in spending our resources when we approve any project. So issues relating to fighting against corruption, ensuring that the project's benefits to the local communities, etc., are well considered in such processes. And our member countries also are well aware of those processes. So on that side, I think we are not worried because we strictly apply our policies on that. And the last point I wanted to touch was on financing. The gentleman was speaking about the need for domestic resource mobilization for climate action and green growth. I think this is a very important point. And already some African countries are making effort in allocating some part of their national budget to addressing climate crisis and also supporting their green growth agenda. But we know that it is not enough. We know that some have made commitment that 10% of their climate commitments will be supported through domestic resources, but the rest has to come from international financing. So it is a combination of both domestic resource mobilization and international financing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you. And also to add on our resource mobilization, I think, as I indicated in my speak, it is very important for parliamentarians to ensure that the investments that we are already putting on the ground, the development projects, embed climate resilience and adaptation, mobilizing domestic resources. At the moment, I think about 26% is being channeled through government sources to adaptation, and that could be increased. And also, we also have an important role to mobilize other stakeholders, the private sector, international finance institutions, to ensure that more resources are put to adaptation. And the adaptation country compacts that we have developed and that we are developing with the other countries will be an important channel where countries can actually mobilize more resources for adaptation. And also to the honorable member for...
Okay, okay. A bit closer, yeah.
Excuse me.
Could you take a picture?
This is my phone. No, please. Excuse me.
Issues, risks on the ground. And I think the work that we are doing, we work with different partners, government, civil society, IFIs, youth, technical partners from the national government and also global experts to ensure that we bring the knowledge, the science of climate change impacts and risks and embed them in the development and design of projects working with international finance institutions. So I think it's very important as we implement the sustainable development and adaptation agenda that we work together to advance action and scale on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Martha.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for the question regarding smart climate solutions. I think, yes, you're completely right. Historically, solutions such as hydroponics have been more for the large-scale farmers and is definitely something that is seen as a luxury by many of the younger farmers. However, we are starting to see today that there are many innovations in this space. So what I would suggest the young people interested in using hydroponics, there are ways that they can adopt it. You don't have to start with the Rolls-Royce system, but I think today with our new education system, CBC, there are elements that we can implement that are not as expensive. And obviously we would need to work with some of the financing partners to finance these as well. Thank you, Chair.
Martha. Ambassador, can we hear your final?
Yes, thank you. So the main point I was making was that there is a role for an organization that is outside the formal government sector, and it can make a huge difference. I described how we as an organization work within an ethical framework. We start by understanding needs. We then draw on best practices internationally to provide solutions, or even undertake developmental research to see what works through innovative practices. We draw resources from the Smiley community, His Highness the Aga Khan, but also partner organizations that want to work with us and have mutual interests, and that all of this requires leadership which is provided by His Highness the Aga Khan.
Thank you very much. At this juncture, first of all, I want to say Honorable Kofi from West Africa, Ghana, you will ask your question in the next session. Please prepare it. And also I want to appeal to the Sergeant at Arms to mobilize the members who are outside there to come on the stairs for the group photo with the Right Honorable Speaker. Lunch is going to be for 45 minutes. Lunch is going to be for 45 minutes. Let us try to keep time so that we come back for the next session and wind up. Can we give a big clap for all of us? Thank you very much.
Honorable members, the Speaker of the National Assembly will join us for lunch, and I urge that before we do the lunch, we will do a group photo. We'll do a group photo. I think the Speaker of the National Assembly is coming down the stairs to join us, just outside when we walk outside, and then we'll quickly proceed for lunch and come back for the main resolutions and declarations out of this meeting.
Thank you very much.